96.3 WHUR. This is the Insight segment. Your questions or comments at 202-432-WHUR or toll free 1-800-221-WHUR. Now, Insight.
Welcome back. This is the Insight segment. I'm Harold Fisher. Health, politics, war, economics, and human rights. Sounds like point-and-click tabs for the Washington Post or New York Times online, but actually they are just a few of the issues on tap for the Women's Global Summit coming to Washington, D.C. next month. Founder Angela Peabody joins me to talk about these critical issues and the link between women around the world. If you want to be part of this conversation, you can give us a call right now at 202-432-WHUR. That's 202-432-9487. You can also give us a call at 1-800-221-9487. Follow me on Twitter at HFisherWHUR or on Facebook. Ms. Peabody, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Harold.
Explain to me what your idea was in putting together this summit that deals specifically with international issues for women.
Well, I had a vision to that I should bring women together internationally to share their ideas and their views, and for us to address some of the issues that affect their lives every day in the world, not just internationally, but here at home as well.
Mm-hmm. You had a rather precarious start yourself before coming to the United States. What's your story, briefly?
Well, briefly, I'm a survivor of the bloody coup d'etat that occurred 31 years ago in Liberia, West Africa, my home country. And I immigrated to the United States after surviving the coup with my family, and we made life here.
Mm-hmm. When you talk about international issues, particularly now, 2011, honestly, if I may make this comment, often Americans, men, women, whatever, often are thinking about themselves. In these rather difficult economic times, difficult political times in this country, difficult social times in this country, how do you convince American women that there are issues that are bigger than themselves and what is going on here? How do you convince them to pay attention to what's going on the other side of the Atlantic or the Pacific when there are so many struggles here?
Harold, the world has become small. When President Obama made his acceptance speech, I believe it was, he said, the ground has shifted. The world is closer in now. And that is the truth. The world is small. What concerns a woman in Kenya should concern a woman in Washington, D.C., because the topics we are going to discuss, such as cancer prevention in women, maternal mortality, believe it or not, maternal mortality, I was of the opinion that it was only isolated to developing countries, like where I come from. However, I was educating myself on all of the topics recently, and I read on maternal mortality and found out that it is prevalent in certain areas, in certain states in the United States, like Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, and West Virginia. So nothing is too isolated internationally that don't affect women in the United States. Sexual and gender-based violence is one of the topics we will be addressing at the summit, and women are susceptible to that anywhere in the world, including Washington, D.C.
Let me ask you, because that particular issue has struck a chord recently in the news. As you know, the former head of the International Monetary Fund, Dominique Strauss-Kahn, he said just this week that his encounter with hotel maid Nafissatou Diallo was a moral failing. He said this in an interview with French media. He doesn't deny that there was some kind of encounter. there's a laundry list of issues that comes out, and I'm not debating whether or not there was a crime committed. I'm not debating whether or not this was a moral failing, whether she did anything or he did anything. But all of a sudden, we have a woman who was an immigrant, legal or not, who is now in the limelight. Is that the kind of thing that you want people at this summit to recognize and to learn from?
Yes, not particularly only that incident with the young lady in New York and the IMF chief, the former IMF chief, but yes, we want women to recognize those incidents because they happen on college campuses in the United States. Rapes happen, and we're going to have one of our panelists on that particular topic panel at the summit she's in active duty from the U.S. military, and she has a foundation that helps women who are veteran women who have been sexually violated and who are homeless. And she's going to come. She contacted me and she said, I want to come and speak on that topic. I want to be on the panel. And I said, let me just make it clear. You will be on the world stage because there will be women in that conference room from every continent in the world except for Antarctica. And you will be telling the world that this exists in the great United States military. And she said, they know what I do. So, yes, I want to tell the story. So that particular panel is going to be a hot topic that day when it's on.
202-432-WHUR. That's 202-432-9487. Talking to Angela Peabody about the Global Women's Summit coming to Washington, D.C. next month. Let me go to the phone lines. Christian calling from Southeast D.C. Thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
Brother Fisher, how are you, sir?
Doing just fine. Thanks for calling.
Ms. Peabody, first I want to commend you on what you're doing. I think it's very noble, and continue to fight the good fight. My question is, Michelle Obama, First Lady Michelle Obama, rather, has a campaign that she's doing for health, wellness, and activity. I wanted to know, how has that campaign impacted the global community? Perhaps you have a pulse on that.
Thank you so much, Christian. I appreciate it.
Well, Mrs. Obama, her mission is so popular around the world. Women listen. They stop to read whatever the topic is on Michelle Obama, whatever she says, whatever she does. Women around the world, in the Middle East, I've been there and I know. I had her photograph on the cover of my magazine when I visited Dubai, and the women, I didn't have enough copies to go around. She is popular. She is one of the most popular first ladies of the United States and ever in the world. And they want to hear what she has to say. So that whatever she does has an impact on women around the world.
But I think, not to put too fine of a point on it, but he's asking, for example, specifically about obesity. Because America remains the land of plenty, is childhood obesity an American problem? Because, for when we usually hear about nutrition issues outside of the bounds of America, we're talking about poor nutrition, malnutrition in underdeveloped countries. Obviously, I'm not talking about Western or Eastern Europe, but in some of the underdeveloped countries. So again, is childhood obesity just an American issue?
It's primarily an American issue, being that I'm from outside of the United States, and I spent my childhood in West Africa. We did not have childhood obesity in Liberia, in West Africa. We didn't. And I don't think that it is as prevalent as anywhere else as it is in the United States. It's a serious situation, and I applaud Mrs. Obama for addressing that and bringing it to light. We have a panel on natural medicine and preventive health in the summit. And that ties into it. We have one of our panelists is Dr. Guy Reichman. He's the president of Life University in Atlanta, and he has written several books. It was one of his books I was reading on obesity and how Americans are the most medicated population in the world and the most overfed, but I wouldn't put it.
Well, you can say it. I mean,
population in the world, and it is a serious situation. And I'm so happy that the caller asked that question, because it's something that needs to be addressed. And that only proves to you that he's calling from Southeast Washington, and it proves to you that these topics we are going to be addressing at the summit are not just global. They are global. The United States is part of the global spectrum.
I need to take a break, but when we come back, more from Angela Peabody and the Global Women's Summit. This is the Insight segment on WHUR.
An extra hour staring at the bottom of the pool. A couple more laps around the track. 100 more free throws. Attention to little things helps Team USA perform at their best. That's why BP is honored to support them in their journey to the London 2012 Olympic Games. At BP, we know focusing on little things can help your car perform at its best, too. We specially formulate BP gasoline with Invigorate to help your car get a few more miles per tank when compared to low-quality gasoline. When used continuously, it helps clean and protect critical engine parts from harmful deposits, so you'll go a little farther between fill-ups. Like BP, Team USA athletes know little things make a big difference. Like a few more miles on the bike. It can be the difference between a good performance and a personal best. To show your support for the U.S. Olympic team, like BP Team USA on Facebook.
Welcome back to the Daily Drum. I'm Harold Fisher. I'm talking about the Global Women's Summit. It's coming to Washington, D.C., the Hyatt Regency, October 8th through 11th. And Angela Peabody is the founder, talking about international women's issues. What do you want American women to know or to come away with if they have an opportunity to attend this summit coming up next month?
Information. Knowledge is power, and we will be handing out a lot of information, sharing a lot of information. We have women from, like I said, every continent in the world, and these women are coming to Washington specifically to share information about health, women's health. Maternal mortality, what to do about that, cancer prevention in women, natural medicine and preventive health. It's better to prevent yourself, keep yourself healthy rather than having to cure yourself. That's what I believe in. Higher education for women. We have come a long way. There are so many educated, highly educated women in the world, including the Middle East, Africa, Asia. However, we still have a long way to go. We still need that.
And you know, I think back to some of the things that we've seen recently in the news about what we would consider here in the United States oppressive regimes. When you're talking about the Taliban, for example, where they don't want women to read, or they don't want women to write, or to educate themselves. How do you deal with that particular issue where you have so many educated women, world leaders, Hillary Clinton, Condoleezza Rice, Michelle Obama, on one end, and on the other end you still have this ocean of ignorance in other parts of the world?
Well, surprisingly, in Afghanistan, for example, where the Taliban is so present, there are highly educated women in Afghanistan. You'll be surprised. Mm-hmm. They are. But what do they do with their education is the question. And that's where That's where Global Woman comes in. That's who we don't want to get political. We want to remain neutral, Global Woman Peace Foundation, but we want women to know in Afghanistan, we want them to know that they have our support. We are here to help them, to give them information.
Well, speaking of information, if anyone wants more information about the Global Women's Summit, where do they go? You have a website and some other information.
Yes, they can go to globalwomansummit.org.
Okay. And the Global Women's Summit will be held again October 8th through 11th at the Hyatt Regency on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. You may want to check it out. Men, too.
Yes.
It's in the men.
Men are welcome.
Men, okay, that's always important. Always good to know that men are welcome. Who knows? Maybe the men can learn a little something as well. Angela Peabody with the Global Women's Summit. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Harold.
Well, that's Insight for this Monday, September 19th. For reporters Taylor Thomas, Millette Green, Renee Nash, George Wilson, and engineer Bobby Adams, I'm Harold Fisher. You can reach me at hfisher@WHUR.com, on the Daily Drum page of WHUR.com, on Facebook and Twitter. Well, Taylor Thomas will have news updates tomorrow morning on the Steve Harvey Morning Show. Now, stay tuned for The Quiet Storm with Jeff Brown. Good night.
WHUR, Washington.